それではお時間となりましたので、
Now the time
これ
has
よ
come,
り
and so
日
we
本
would
デー
like
タ
to
サイエン
begin
ス研
the
究所
solo
代表
lecture
取締役
by
CEO
the CEO
加藤 Erdos 様より
of
ご案内をいただき
Japan
ます。
Data Science Consortium Company
どうぞ
Limited,
よろしくお願いいたし
Satoshi
ます。
Satoshi Erdos Kato. Please, Mr. Kato.
改めましてよろしくお願いいたします。日本データサ
I
イエ
would
ンス
like to
研究
request
所
for your
代
best
表の
regards.
今日は
I
たくさんの
represent
ご演
Japan
説
Data
そして
Science Consortium.
AX
Today there must be a lot of presentations that you have heard, such as DX and other such subjects. And I'd like to introduce as many case studies as possible. And I hope that this can provide you with food for ideas. I'd like to first explain about what we as a company are doing. As shown here, originally, we started as a research institute in around 2013. And if you read Nikkei yesterday, there were news about the fact that we no longer just do research, but also we're trying to impact society, and so therefore we have enhanced our operations. And we do research with universities. At first, universities came about to improve the productivity of industry, and it has made a contribution to corporations to this, but we would like to take advantage of university knowledge so that corporations can be looking into the next generation of operations. And so we are working in between corporations and universities. And we have researchers from engineering faculties of University of Tokyo, and I have been in touch with many of them. Even today, before coming here, I have been in touch with the various researchers to talk about issues that exist. And the members come from consulting firms or funds, and we have people who are quite knowledgeable in the area of data science. And we have team members who are very strong on the science side. And we have started off from the University of Tokyo, and we are involved in AI. And on an international level, there is CAGO, which has a collection of people who are involved in data science. And we have been looking at major events, a global event, and we have been involved in this global competition. And we have been looking at establishing great outcome. And we have seen very few cases like ours where we are able to generate actual outcome. We act as a partner in digital transformation and assist in that. We cover long project periods, and it's not just consultation on suggestions of what needs to be done, but we're looking at data platforms and algorithms that can actually be used. By providing this, we're helping in the process of realizing what our customers want to achieve, acting as their partners. And we are applying data science, not restricting ourselves to any particular industry. We're involved in education or demand forecasting or inventory control and so on. As case studies, we have two encircled in red. We have the zero redelivery in the area of logistics, and on the right-hand side, also using the electrical grid data, we are looking at enhancing the convenience of consumers. So I'd like to touch upon these two case studies. First, in regard to deliveries. When no one is at home, we may be trying to make a delivery to the home of the Kato family, but maybe there may be no one present. And it's quite a large economic damage. And there's 200 billion yen per year because of absence. Just with the three major delivery companies, we have seen this kind of the issues of gasoline and the labor costs involved when deliveries cannot be completed. And so therefore this has reduced the productivity within the logistics companies. And this is for the driver. There's certain times they have to be making the delivery, but it's the same with me, but schedules change and people can't be at their homes all the time. So it's quite difficult to resolve this issue. And we tried to look at smart ways of solving this, and we have decided to look at smart meters. These are connected to the electrical grid, and in 2020, this will cover 100% of the homes in the area covered by TEPCO, and by 2024, this will be able to have nationwide coverage. And in regard to what the electrical consumption is in a home, it is possible to look at this to indicate whether the air conditioning is being used, or if microwave ovens are being used, or so on. And so it's possible to identify the manufacturer of the particular equipment that is used. And it will be possible to anticipate whether a person would be at home or absent several hours from now. And when making delivery, it is possible to look at the pattern of the electrical consumption, and we can anticipate whether someone is at home or not. And if we anticipate that someone is absent, then we try to look at the possibility of when that person will be at home. There are only 3 homes that are described here, so it looks simple. But it may be over 1,000 homes that have to be covered, and so this is something that cannot really be calculated by a single person. And so if that is not available, what do you do? Their veterans have delivery plans drafted in the morning. And they go to one particular address and then another address, and they may plan their routes in orange or in blue. And orange indicates when there was no one at home. There are 3 points in red, but if there are 3 that have absence of people, then once again you have to cover a large route. And there was mention about the large amount of losses. And this is the kind of rerouting that is necessary if there's even one home where the person is absent. But it would be possible to take advantage of the electrical grid data, and on a real-time basis, it would be possible to identify through calculations where you're going. It may look like you're taking a longer route, but through verification trials, you can see the high productivity in making the deliveries. And through the applications, it will be possible to have instructions generated to indicate where the next delivery should be made. With the same algorithm and the same data and the same sensors used, it will be possible to provide care as well. These are cases where it's a problem when no one is at home, when a delivery has to be made. What this means is that if it's an elderly person living alone, there's naturally going to be smart meters attached, and compared to several years ago, there may be identification about the fact that a person rarely goes out. So it'll be possible to have indications that activity is much less than several years ago. And this is in Mie Prefecture. And so it'll be possible to find assistants who are looking at the activity of an elderly person, and it'll be possible to identify signals about people being less active. So it'll be possible to look at people who require care and those who are in between a healthy person and those who require care. And it would be possible to intervene appropriately by looking at this situation. Of course, these kind of evaluation tests are being carried out by visiting the homes of the elderly and carrying out checks. But there may be some elderly persons, and there's a lot of burden on a person to move forward. And so when they get a inspection, they may already be at a point where their muscle strength is not sufficient and will require care. If we take advantage of our data, then just by leading a normal life, it would be possible to look at how much risk a person is exposed to. And if there are smart meters, then it will be possible to identify such people. And it will be possible to look at when they have children or if they're living on their own. And it will be possible to have effective intervention carried out.
This is not something that can take place between local governments and children of such elderly people, but as you could see in this morning's newspaper, for example, your father got a dementia, so he has to go to an old people's home, and he has a condominium, so that can be sold, and then the deposit can be paid for a place in an old people's home, but it's not possible to do that, legally speaking, anymore. If somebody has a dementia, that sort of procedure is not possible. So trust banks and so on have to resolve these societal challenges too. And to that end, they want to grasp the situation such as MCI and family trust-like arrangements can be made so that when they reach this stage, they don't have to cause problems for their family members. But it's difficult to identify such people. But using this kind of data in advance, you can make preparation. And for example, over here, there is an automobile insurance. By using electric grid meters, you can see that somebody is waking up at night all the time, and that person is sleepy during the day because you have to go to the toilet so many times during the night, and then during the day your activity level goes down. And then there will be some dangerous moments in your life. From automobile insurance company, they want to make good interventions and take measures so that people don't cause accidents. Then it'll be better for the insurance company, and the insured can lead safe and secure lives. That is beneficial. So multiple companies, we have been working with multiple companies. So Frail was just one example, and before that I talked about the delivery service example. So for what a company DX is happening, it is difficult to understand that. Of course, there is zero transformation for delivery companies, or the power consumption used not to make money, but now it can be monetized. So this is a new digital revenue stream for a power company. So this is a digital transformation for them. Or map manufacturers or navigation manufacturers can come up with new solutions which didn't exist. So this is many DX examples in various companies. So over here, across industries, many companies are involved. So DX doesn't end within just one company or within one industry. So across industries, for societal trends, you have to keep up with societal trends. So these kind of DX examples, we've seen many of them, but there are some pitfalls as well. Some of them are successful, others are not. There are some clear differences between them, so I'd like to talk about 3 of them. The first one is a trap of big picture. So as I mentioned earlier, a specific, for example, you take power data and you can tell if somebody's at home, and then based upon that, delivery priority is a given and routine can be created. So this is very specific, and then you can reduce the cost. So you have to be very specific. Unless you do that, it's not possible for you to make profits. At the same time, for many companies, they have midterm plans and they want to use digital solutions and so on. They want to go through DX. But what's written there is in terms of healthcare, they want to try or they want to leverage dormant data to monetize things. So this is very general. It's not as specific as the previous example I talked about. So they are just trying to take this bottom-up approach using their existing technology. The next one is a trap of partial optimization. So this happens quite a lot for a company where top management is not very visible. So for a certain department, partial optimization may be possible, but maybe that work of the very department may not be needed or necessary anymore from a broader viewpoint. So bigger judgments are necessary, but when individual departments are working separately, it's not really possible for them to have such a broader viewpoint. So their job assignment and overall direction of the company have some gap between them. The third one is that the trap of absence of actors. So you want to use a digital, expand the business or renew the business, and then you want to keep up with the competitive landscape, going against the opposition from within the company and change the business model. That is very difficult. There is a lack of human resources to this end, and you want to do this in-house, but that will decelerate or slow down the speed. There are some experts in this field. You can pass that on to them, for example, us, JDSC. But that, again, doesn't work well because they have to be actors within the company with decision-making power. In terms of quantity and quality, their growth will be decided based upon that. So you cannot rely on external resources too much, and you cannot try to do everything in-house. So you have to develop the actors who can take on these challenges. So what way can we resolve these problems and challenges? I don't have enough time today, so top management commitment is very important. That is something that I'd like to emphasize, given the limited time today. Another important point is how important the speed is to conclude my presentation. So some impactful levers for the company is different. In the past, during 1960s, it was manufacturing such as T-shaped Ford and companies which did new things which didn't exist before, one. And the next one is marketing. So my old company, P&G, is the same. So people used mass media and sold a larger volume of things, which was mass-produced. And then these companies became hegemons, and they became a dominant force in the world during 2000s. So this is a capitalism or finance sort of era. By the fusion of finance and businesses, they were able to bring about some large challenges. So some companies were successful in doing that, and they were able to develop, but those who failed to do so declined. Such a picture was clear. So if you make a larger success, that means when other companies cannot do that, you have to be able to leverage the weapon that is not available to others. So that's ultimately what's really important. So when it comes to digital transformation, I discuss this topic with various industries, but if you just do basic things, that's no good. Mass production is something that everybody can do. TV commercials can be deployed by anyone. Expanding the business, finance is a level that anyone can use. So if you don't do any of these, it is just a negative for you, but it's not going to make you successful, particularly. So you have to go through digital transformation today, and that is because digital is clearly a very strong weapon. And other companies are not necessarily successful in leveraging these digital drivers. So GAFA and Microsoft, in terms of market cap, account for 9% of total market cap of all world businesses. So these businesses are very strong with very powerful weapons. and they are marking growth, and others are declining because such a weapon is not available for them. It's not just the tech companies which are leveraging these weapons. Some businesses with real operations can leverage weapons and reform or transform themselves. I think that is going to be a very big theme in 2020s. So today you have to work on DX, and that is because it's such a strong weapon. Other companies are doing this. And going forward, for each business and for each industry, this will decide the fate. It's a very powerful weapon. So, as I discussed today, there are many traps, and I hope that you'll overcome all of them and leverage digital transformation. And we'd like to be your partner to promote digital transformation in various industries. Sorry, that was a rushed presentation, but thank you very much for your kind attention.
Kato-sama, どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Mr. Kato.